What is up, everybody? This is episode 3 of the Bull Movement. We dove into everything Apple. This was recorded the day before the Apple event, and we actually released it this morning. So if you're listening to this right now, get some insight of what we think, what's going to be revealed in the Apple event. The huge run-up that we saw on Monday, up 6.5%. Going into the event, so it's well anticipated, and we are super excited to see what happens for the rest of the week. What happens in the event? What are they releasing? Where does the price of the stock move to? And so we go all into all of that, and we are super excited to share that with you. So if you like what you hear, if you got some thoughts, hit us up. We want to hear what you think, and the Bull Movement is starting now.
Little, we all kind of busy.
Almost pulled the pec, man.
You got your business stuff, and playing, got the football stuff going on, doing, getting it done. Success all around, that's what's important.
That's right.
Slow, but hey, we're going. All that matters is that we're doing it right now. You know what I'm saying? That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Yeah, I mean, we didn't miss much anyways. Nothing really happened in the market, right? We didn't miss anything.
Not a thing.
Trump got Rona.
Dude, we got the election going on. We got the stimulus bill back and forth. Banter.
We didn't hit any of the debates, right? Like the debates happened after.
We are not talking about the debates. Oh man, it's wild. I think it's going to be a really interesting, next couple months for the markets. I really do.
Yeah,
it's gonna.
It'll be interesting. I mean, stocks only go up though, so.
Hey, we just got to keep preaching that, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, we're obviously filming this on Monday, so this is October 12th, and this is actually the day before the Apple event.
Brandon, so speaking of Apple, so you put a call option in? Tell the audience about that.
Yeah, so I decided we were doing a little bit of paper trading, right, about options. I know we talked about this maybe the second episode. And I was like, you know what? I gotta put real money in the game. I gotta get an option. I gotta just get in there. So I actually went and bought and I'm pulling this up on the screen right now, the options. So I bought there's the 121.25 October 16th strike. Deal! I'm looking at it now. So I bought this on Monday last week. So a week from today. Obviously, the Apple event is tomorrow. They're going to be talking about the phones, releasing new phones, 5G potentially. There's a lot of rumors already out there. But I bought this option for $1.04 per share. So I only did one contract. So I wanted to just see how it went. $104 I put in there. And the next day, Apple was up about 1%, and my option was up about 12%. So I said, you know what? This is a nice little gain here. It was a proof of concept. We figured it out. Let's get out of here. Close the position. And so now, and I actually did it because I was like, Apple event's coming up, whatever. That was the thought process. But I saw the gains, and so I said, let's just get them. And today, the day before the Apple event, the stock runs up 6.5% almost, so $7, and mine was the 121.25 call, and when I did that, it was at $115. Apple was. Now it's at $124, so my contract has moved into the money, and that $1.04 option is now worth $4.80.
That's crazy.
$4.80. So just from Friday to Monday, it was a 357% gain. So that one was right there. So I could have spent $104, and my position would now be worth $480.
That's wild. I mean, that just really shows the amount of risk, because obviously with risk comes a lot of return or a lot of loss.
Yeah. And I mean, I risked $100, right? So technically my max loss would have been $100. My max return, they always say it's unlimited, it's infinite. As you can see here, could have almost 5x my money basically. And that'd have been interesting. But hey, that's good to learn right there.
Just got a little comment from Jackson. He said, "Should I sell my American Airlines stocks?" And he said, "Nice shirt. Appreciate the compliment on the shirt." And let's check out American Airlines real quick.
Yeah, we'll check out American Airlines.
Quick detour.
I mean, how long has Jackson been sitting on it?
I actually told him to get it when we went to the beach together. We went to the beach together, and so I think he's been selling it since March, January, February. Yeah, somewhere around March. Let's see. Wasn't there talk about a
There was talk.
airline?
Did that ever happen?
Talk about an airline bailout. I remember that. Um, I don't think it ever happened though.
It hasn't happened yet.
And the American Airlines was talking about furloughing a lot of, I mean, a lot of airlines were, but I know that American Airlines was talking about furloughing a lot of people.
So I feel like American Airlines isn't going down. Like,
Yeah, I would probably just hold.
yeah, and
That's where I would be.
especially because the way it's been over since like basically since April, it's been like, it's been just hanging like same area. Like, this is basically just consolidated so much that when any good news happens and like the economy starts opening up,
Yeah,
like it's gonna go.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it'll at least come out of these $13 levels. But I mean,
Yeah.
I'm looking at the 5-year and like it doesn't look tasty. Like if you look at the 5-year,
Yeah, that is a good point.
it does not have a dividend, or did they cut the dividend like during?
I'm not too sure.
It had to have had a dividend before.
Yeah, but I'd probably just hold it, Unless,
Yeah.
unless you're seeing profits within like maybe like the 10 to 20% range, I'd probably just hold it.
Yeah. Or if you're in a large position and you have minuscule profits or whatever, I would say maybe your money might be better elsewhere. If you have something that you'd be more confident in, I would get out, and especially if it's a large position. If it's a small position and you're cool with it, maybe you're sitting on a loss, maybe it's just not worth your time. Might as well just let it ride.
Because it's all about learning. Doesn't really. I mean, for the audience that we probably have right now, the people who are asking us for advice, right? It's all about learning. I mean, we'll keep saying the same things over and over again, but you see what happens. You learn about it, and then you just don't try to make the same mistake again.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's get back to Apple. Back to Apple real quick. Quick detour to American Airlines from one of our viewers. He said, should have sold in June, but I thought it was going to keep going. I'll hold, though. All right, respect.
Respect. Hey, we're with you, man. We're with you on the whole. We'll be riding it out with you, bro.
It's always unrealized gains and unrealized losses. So you still have the same amount of stock as before. You didn't lose anything yet. You
Exactly.
didn't gain anything yet. So just hold it. You'll see what happens.
Exactly.
Like
Good
I
luck
said,
out there, man.
Quick little detour from one of our guests on American Airlines, and let's pivot right back to Apple. So, Brandon, you had a call option. Obviously, you balled out really well, but you took profit 11%.
I took 11% gain.
You cannot be mad at yourself about it.
Not mad at all.
Literally, you can't be mad at all. And the reason that you can't be is because you took profit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not like you were like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. Too early. It's a day in. I'm losing. $5, $10. Let me get out. You didn't do that.
Yeah.
You decided. You said, hey, let me. I'm seeing 11% gain in a day, in like 1 to 2 days.
One day.
Take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just take it, and you cannot be mad at yourself about that. No matter how much. It's not gonna. You could have been 500. You could have 6x extra money. Doesn't matter. You took profit, because what's gonna happen is that it's gonna happen again in the opposite direction, and then you're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna make an educated decision here. I'm gonna take a 20% loss, right? So you do that, and then guess what happens? Now it's 100% loss on an even bigger contract, because you're starting to get more confident in yourself, and that's exactly what's gonna happen.
Yeah, exactly. So
And
the
you made an
only
extremely good decision on that, Brandon.
yeah, I mean the only thing that I would say I would be critical of myself of is I had a semi I had a semi plan going into it. I think if I would have had a strong a stronger plan of saying, "Hey, look, I'm going to do this," because my thought was the Apple event's it's going to run up before the Apple event. Now, because I don't know how like time decay works on options and stuff, I didn't know how like close it like would need to be or whatever. And that's a whole different story. But if I would have had a plan of like, hey, we're going to ride this out for a week. Let's see what this does. By Friday or whatever, that's when we're going to make the decision because we'll still have a week in advance on this call or whatever. Then I feel like I would have been better because I just woke up the next day. I said, oh, I saw 11% gain, and I forgot why I even got into it. And then I just took the gain. And so, maybe having a plan, now I reflect back on it, maybe having a better plan at the beginning and trying to stick to it more, that would be better because I've made mistakes before where it's like, I know this company is good, and so I buy it, and then I see some gains, and I'm like, I forget why I bought it, and it was for like to sit on it for a while, and then I just take the gains, and then I see a ginormous 30%, 40% run up the next like week, and I don't have the position. So that would probably be the only thing I'd be critical about. But you were exactly right with the if I don't reflect on like seeing like what my emotions were when I took that 11%, profit off the table, like understanding where I was at. Like if I just eliminated that and all I'm focused on right now is saying, oh, well, I should have just stayed in there longer and made a 400%, 400% return on my money. And in fact, if I would have put $500 in there instead of $100, I would have made $2,000, right? And then going and saying that that's exactly what my mindset should be now, and like just completely eliminating taking profit and the emotion that goes into it, and thinking that's just not a part of the equation, would be very stupid to do. So definitely keep that in mind, and I'm going to keep that in mind for myself. Is taking profit is great, like you said. Have a plan, try to stick to it, and don't let your emotions knock you off your plan as much as you possibly can.
Yeah. So, man, big props to you on that. It's a big W. Keep learning. We always just got to keep learning.
Yep.
So, with the Apple event, right? So, with the Apple event that's coming up right now, do you think that the stock, it's up 6.5%, after market, it's up 0.3% after market, but 6.5 on the day, kind of. Do you think it's going to keep running up? How do you think that Apple stock is going to do during the event, in the week, in the rest of the week? I guess short term.
So this is interesting because we saw, and this is like Apple did a Apple Watch event a couple weeks ago, and so in the Apple Watch event we saw it go from running up before the event, but on the day of the event it just sold off.
Yes.
And
I think you touched base on this a little bit as to why it did, and I think the consumers, heavy people in the Apple industry, they weren't a big fan of how the event was put on. Mm-hmm. I guess there wasn't a lot of spark, even though we knew what was going to happen. There wasn't a lot of future hopefulness, I guess. Yeah. I think that was one of the bigger reasons as to why there wasn't a big spark and there wasn't a big run up, and that I think it did eventually fall down. From like I think it was at 115, 116 to like 107.
Yeah. I mean, it's there was already rumors before like the phones weren't going to be at the event, but I feel like that as well, like for some reason was just another excuse to like, hey, the phones aren't released, let's just sell off. And running up the stock before the event, that's what we saw. Like, I mean, we saw it push up, and then the event selling it off. And like you said, it's just there wasn't a boom, there wasn't a wow factor. And
yeah,
I'm guessing right now, seeing a 6.5% up on the day, it definitely wasn't a run up like that for the Apple Watch event. There was not that run up before the event. And so these are the phones. We know these are the phones. There's rumors to be also over-ear Apple headphones as well. So they're getting into that as well. And then 5G, this could be, the up cycle of like refreshing all these new phones that are already out there. So that's potential. And I think because it's such a strong 6.5% move, you can hold me to it. I think it's either going to hold steady tomorrow at the event or it's going to run up even more.
Okay. So I also saw not a lot, but, a couple articles that I was reading. People do think that this might be, how, there's a lot of hype around Apple when the iPhones first came out.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of hype, I'm like, it's the iPhone, right? There's a lot of hype. And then, less and less hype kind of, came through every, preceding iPhone. There hasn't been, as much, innovation. There hasn't been as much, crazy things that are happening to the iPhone that the consumer expects and what the consumer wants, from this, great multi-billion-dollar company, trillion-dollar,
Yeah.
company, right? But regardless, I think that the 5G could play a big role into it becoming the next step, like from essentially where we are at the iPod, we're at the flip phone, the BlackBerry,
Mm-hmm.
to the iPhone. I think that this could really be the next step in innovation for how the phone performs, right? So like you can kind of look at it like that. But I think the bigger concern is not necessarily Apple, but the 5G towers and like the infrastructure around Apple being able to keep pace, with this technology.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you were talking about how T-Mobile is kind of already, in that space. They're, they would you say 33% coverage already?
Yeah, they've got 33% nationwide coverage.
So yeah, so like T-Mobile's kind of already in that space, and there's a lot of people already in that space, but the 5G isn't, nationwide yet. 5G isn't. Not everybody can have 5G depending on where you are. So I think that's something that kind of needs to catch up, and that that technology sector of the 5G markets could be a really big. I mean, I'm sure that people are already talking about it, but it could be a really big run up in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, and this makes me think like, okay, are investors pricing in right now, understanding that the upgrade cycle, it might not happen as soon as these phones are released, like October, in November, like during when normally the bulk of their orders come in. Is this going to be a mid 2021 play? I know Verizon's supposed to be making an announcement soon on, advancing their coverage and their investments there. And this is just going to basically be a game of get as much 5G coverage as fast as possible between Sprint. T-Mobile now and Sprint, Verizon, and AT&T. I mean, right now it's just like you said, like it's just if you get a 5G phone right today, you're most likely on 4G, and they did say that the 4G will be faster because it just is, because that's just the technology. I don't know the big tech behind it, but so if 4G will be a little bit faster, but you won't really start seeing the effects until they're saying around mid to late 2021. And so if this is the big upgrade, is this priced in now, and is this where a spot that we're going to sit, or is this like priced in of like, oh, 5G is coming out, and then a month later or a couple days later where it's saying 5G's out, but not many people are going to be able to utilize this. It's actually 4G, and then it starts to sell off. Like, how smart is the price right now? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
So I think those are some really fair questions, and as we're talking about it, I think that obviously the stimulus. I mean, I want to say the stimulus package really does have a slight impact into how the market is moving right now. I think that people are hopeful that that there is going to be a stimulus package, and I think that with if it times up, how Apple would essentially want it to time up, that people would people are going to be buying these iPhones, right? Like obviously, there's going to be a high demand for them. I'm sure Apple is building as many as they can at the moment, right? But I think that this could be a kind of like a sign into what people think that the fourth quarter sales are going to be. So when the fourth quarter sales come out, end of the year, right? Christmas time, Thanksgiving, holiday season, coronavirus, how that's all going to play out. I kind of think that it could be, foreshadowing just a little bit that people think that, that the fourth quarter earnings are going to be pretty high, just because, it's going to be such, and I think that it's going to slowly, keep crawling, maybe not slowly, obviously 6% today, but it's going to keep, I think it's going to be really hard for me to believe that it's not going to keep going up if the stimulus package gets pushed through and there's as much hype around these iPhones as, Apple and the consumers say.
Yeah. And I mean, we've seen all the leaks of iPhone designs, things like that. Like, then it comes down to the event tomorrow. Like, the stock is going to be moving based off of how the event goes.
Yes.
So, I mean, I still feel like there's such a strong move up, like, and it just kept moving up to the end of the day, like, no selling off, and then even after hours staying positive. That was a good sign. Like, I feel like there's gotta be some strong support here, and the belief is that it's gonna be good. There's gonna be a strong result of sales that may not come out. Yeah, fourth quarter, I think it's gonna be great. But it's going to be a long cycle going into 2021 and just continuing to sell more 5G phones. And I think, personally, I'm bullish on Apple. I know there's a lot of people out there, there's a lot of analysts out there that's just like, Apple's kind of given all it can give.
It's just so crazy to me, we were talking about the article earlier. How much, someone's talking about how much higher can Apple go? Here are some stocks that you should invest in instead. And it's like, cool, right? But like, are you really gonna bet against Apple? Are you really gonna bet against, one of the top 3 companies right now? The amount of volatility, the amount of hype that's going on around it. I don't really know if there's a better place that even now, obviously, dollar cost averaging, doesn't matter if you get in the market high, low, whenever. But, if you want to, not even, it is risky, if you're just buying one stock, but, buying Apple right now, it's not a bad bet at all, in my opinion. I don't think it's a bad bet to buy Apple even right now.
I mean, yeah, we saw, like, bro, the September 1st Apple was $134 a share. This is like a beautiful correction in my mind. Like, it pulled back, right? Came down to $110, down, around 20%. And now it's starting to make its run up with the event into a strong fourth quarter. Like, not a bad, like, this is not bad. Like, I would, if I was adding to my position, I probably would have added to this morning. but I mean, still, what's for one share? What's $4? Like, if you're buying one share, you're long term. Like, you're not buying one share to make a day trade. So,
yeah, and I was as we're having this conversation, I'm also thinking about Apple's gonna have this event, then nothing's really gonna happen afterwards, right? But then I just almost forgot. I think coronavirus will play an impact, right? But people are gonna be reserving these phones, and people are gonna be waiting in really long lines, all 6 feet apart. People are going to be waiting in those lines if they can.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really hard for me to think that Apple is going to decide, no, do not come to the store. I think that, hopefully that everybody, can do it in a safe manner. But I think that's going to be really hard for Apple to say, don't come to the store. We don't, want you guys to come in. I think that, there's going to be really long lines. I think people are going to come and buy the iPhone with the stimulus package, job market moving in the right direction. Hopefully continues to. And and I'm definitely got to say I'm bullish on Apple.
So and that's interesting, $1,200 stimulus check potentially coming out. I mean, that's a perfect price for these iPhones.
Exactly. $1,200, just $200 more.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
I wonder why.
Yeah, so I think that another thing that kind of made me think of is Apple, with its iPhones coming out and coronavirus. What is the impact? Like, what if tomorrow they say, hey, these are now on sale, but they won't be delivered until December or November or something like late November. Like what? That could be the only thing that tomorrow could just turn the markets. Like when like what is there delivery delays? Are there like is there a supply issue? Like they obviously pushed the iPhone event back because there was some kind of issue in the supply chain. Like they didn't have enough phones built out. Like is that going to be the thing that makes the market shift on a dime?
That is a good point, Brandon. But correct me if I'm wrong, or I could be wrong. Maybe I should have done a little bit more due diligence with this. But remember when early coronavirus happened? We were a couple months into the quarantine, and everybody, everything essentially kind of being shut down, nothing really open. Apple said, gave a statement about production and about sales, and made a correction, right before their quarterly came, or I don't know if it was before their quarterly or a couple months before their quarterly came out, their second quarters, saying it's going to be down, like you guys need to understand this, blah, 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 and I'm pretty sure they made a statement about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then the quarterly comes out and it was better than what Apple expected. So obviously it wasn't great by any means, but it was better than Apple expected.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, with, I guess in the US, it's still potentially being a problem, but in China, hopefully, slowing down, and that's, ramping production up at the moment. But I kind of think that, even though that's a good point, that's something to definitely consider. I think that, if it didn't happen all the way, when everybody was, really freaking out about this thing, I don't know if it's going to happen now.
We'll just have to see. Only time will tell. So I like that. I like that thought for sure, because that did happen. I think they did say it was down, but it wasn't down as bad. Yeah.
And then it eventually comes out, later in the quarter that it's not down as bad. So, the markets obviously reacted to that positively,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's gonna be interesting to see if they even talk about that, or what kind of statements they make from that standpoint.
Yeah. Because I mean, they did push it back. They pushed back the iPhone event a little bit further than usual. So there's obviously a reason for that. So I mean, as long as everything's smooth sailing and what is presented is what these investors believe is supposed to be presented, at this 124.40 end of day close on Monday, October 12th, then I think we're good. But if there's some bumps, there may be some volatility. There may be some volatility.
More than what we think it should shake up, right?
Yeah,
So
and then what do you do with that?
Yeah.
Exactly. And then what do you do with it when it say, oh, we're going to have to wait a week until these phones are on sale? Oh, no, the stock goes down 5%. Buy it.
That's how it's going to go. So, I mean, I think that was a really great conversation, about Apple, just a little current news. Figured we'd talk about this, let you guys know what was up. So I get to close out, right? So to close out, it is October 12th, 2020, right? We are after hours. It's 7:24 my time, 6:24 your time. Apple is at 124.40. I kind of want to go end of the week here. What is your prediction on Apple end of the week for this week?
End of the week for this week.
You can just go positive or negative, and then you can give a price target that you think.
It's really going to come down to what happens tomorrow. I think it's definitely going to be, I want to be bullish because I own Apple. And it's going to be positive. It's going to be north of 124. And if we don't break through the 130 resistance that was on September, the 134 resistance that was on September 1st, I think we're going to chill around 130.
So you think in 130 end of the week?
130. I want to see some as long as something, and this is only in a beautiful world if nothing happens with stimulus or some crazy tweet.
All right.
What about you? What do you got?
I'm gonna agree with you that it's positive, but I don't think it's gonna go. Ooh, I want to say it's not gonna go as high as 130, but man, it's just hard to bet. It's hard to bet against that.
I mean, it could be 116 tomorrow.
It could be. Yeah, you're not wrong. Ah, man, I don't know. I think. I think that it is not going to hit 130, and I think it's going to stay below 130.
But north of 124.40.
Yes. I
All
think
right,
it's going to
cool.
be really end of the week, yeah. Because I think that with the event going on tomorrow, I don't think I think a 6.35% increase already. I don't know if it's just, gonna, with nothing, not say nothing but the event. I don't know if it can go above 130, but trying to go against you a little bit. But
Yeah.
I think stay below 130, but positive 124.
All right, cool.
So not a bad buying opportunity by any means, but that's the official prediction right there. Brandon's positive above 130. You think that's your guess? Just,
Yeah, we'll say above 130. Let's just do it.
above 130, and I'll go positive below 130.
All right, cool. So you guys heard it here. It's on Monday. We got it. We're gonna do we'll definitely have a podcast. What do you want to do? A podcast on Friday after close?
Let's do a podcast Friday or Saturday after close.
Friday or Saturday after close, so we can kind of go over what happens.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, sounds good. And then, thank you guys. It's episode 3, the Bold Movement.
Episode 3. Thanks, Jack, for the questions. And hey, let's keep it rolling. Keep learning. That's all we got to do. Just keep learning. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out together.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Let's get it. All right, we'll see you guys on the next one.